Right. Hi. Okay, so it's 6 o'clock. We'll kick this off right. Hello and welcome to Crafting Your Portfolio for College Success. I'm here with my colleague from the admissions office, Christine. Hi. But I will be mainly talking today. She will be monitoring the chat and everything. But thank you for coming. My name is Katie Gross. I work as the Director of Recruitment at Westphal College of Media Arts and Design today, and forever. But today we're going to talk about making a portfolio for college, making you feel comfortable applying to college, helping you as much as possible. Okay, so we have a lot of people coming in, so I'm going to give like one more minute just to see who else comes in. I see a lot of familiar names, a lot of people I've met with. Love to see you all again. And if you do, you can use the chat. So just to go over how this will work, I'll probably talk about an hour. If you do have questions, you're more than welcome to put it in the chat, or you can put it in the Q&A function. So if you see that Q&A button, you can go up there and enter your question, and we'll answer that towards the end of the session. A lot of times when I do these sessions, people have very individual questions about their portfolio. This is really going to go over how to apply and how to kind of correctly apply, and best tips and practices for applying to art and design colleges and media art and design colleges. We will not talk specifically about portfolios, but I will tell you about how to get questions answered if you do have specific questions about your portfolio. So it is now officially 6:02, so we're going to kick it off. And once again, my name is Katie Gross. I work as the Director of Recruitment at Westphal College Media Arts and Design. And just before I kind of talk about how to make a portfolio, I wanted to bring up a webinar series that is happening at Westphal. We know making a portfolio, especially in a pandemic, may be quite hard and difficult. So we wanted to offer ways for you to meet with our faculty and talk with our faculty. So every Friday until November 13th, we are actually offering 1-hour webinars for you to get to know our faculty, and also quick projects you can do at home. So if you are making a portfolio and you're kind of feeling a little stuck, these are ways for that we are trying to support you. And just to tell you about tomorrow, so tomorrow there's a really exciting lineup. We have Creative Justice in the Time of COVID from 1 to 2, which is really from our EAM faculty, Bria. And then we have Materiality and the Principles of Wabi Sabi, which is for interior design students. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that and how to integrate that into your portfolio, that's from 1 to 2. Dance is a healing art. So for all of our dancers out there, game design and production, one of our top most competitive majors with architecture, is actually having specific webinars about our portfolio building structure. So those are on our website at Westphal. Highly suggest joining. They're free. We will be doing these sessions until pretty much November 13th. I'll bring them up again. I talk about them a lot, but I hope you can join us for them. So before we jump into this, let's talk about me, which is bad because, this is being recorded. So forever, the internet will get to see this. So I like to talk about myself in this process because I think applying to art and design school and media arts, wherever you're interested, is a lot of work. It's a specialized field. Not always do you have parents that know what you're doing or college counselors that know what you're doing. So I always like to start like talking about myself, just to make you feel more comfortable, and also allow you to understand that this is a complicated process, and I'm here to give you as many tips as possible. So when I started my college process, I thought I was going to be a dentist. I really thought that was going to be my pathway. And then somebody told me, like, hey, Katie, you're really good at drawing. Maybe you should like become a painter or a drawer. And I was like, cool, that would be awesome. So I went to National Portfolio Day, and I went to a couple of tables, and different schools gave me different feedback on like what I should do and who I should go talk to. So eventually I applied to college, and I applied as fine arts because I was like, painting and drawing is the jam, and I know I can do it. And it's not dentistry. And I didn't have any help. My parents are not artists whatsoever. My college counselor was not very helpful. I submitted slides, y'all. That's how old I am, even though I look very young and still look like my picture. I submitted slides, so I had to mail them. Like everything was chaos. So, I applied as fine arts. I got to art school, I started talking to art school, doing art school, and then all of a sudden I was in illustration because I looked at fine arts and I realized that that was not the pathway for me. So then I became an illustrator, and then I realized what illustration was, which was not for me as well. So then I went back to school and got a degree in history of design. So I want you just to understand that this is a complicated process, that there is no right outcomes, but I'm going to try to help you as much as possible to help you, to apply as best as you can to art and design school. So this is my ID picture. That was my first picture in college. I was 18. And then that was my last all-nighter when I was a senior in college. So I thought that was just a fun little treat for you all. Don't hold it against me, okay? Once again, as we go through this, please put your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A function. Love questions, there's usually a bunch, so don't hold on to them, please write them. So before you even start applying to art and design colleges or media arts and design colleges, I always say do the research. It's kind of hard because you really do trust your college counselor, but sometimes your college counselor is not specialized enough in really understanding what art and design colleges are out there, right? Which is no fault of theirs. If there's so many majors in the world, they have to memorize certain things. So really, I say start with research. And how do you start doing research on art and design colleges specifically? And we can talk a little bit about music programs as well if we do have music students here. A great resource is National Portfolio Day. So if you have not heard about National Portfolio Day, it's a great non-for-profit where art and design schools, large and small, universities like myself at Drexel, and then other independent art schools come together to give reviews on the weekends in events called National Portfolio Day. Usually I travel to you. This year I am traveling to you from my living room, but we are coming to you virtually. So it's a great organization where you actually get to meet a ton of counselors from a ton of different schools and really get feedback on your portfolio and work before applying to college. And so National Portfolio Day is a great organization. I have been a part of National Portfolio Day for 8 years now. I've attended probably over 200 portfolio reviews by now. So I love it. But one thing that they do have on their website is the major search function. It really allows you to understand different majors, especially if you're looking for something specific. So one of my favorite things to do is go on here. This is National Portfolio Day major search, and I picked glass. So you can then go through all the schools that offer glass in the United States and across the world. As you can see, Canada is represented as well as the UK. So I always say, if you are looking for something and you're like, I'm just not finding it anywhere, go to nationalportfolioday.com. They're very helpful, and this filter by major is really, truly helpful for a ton of students. My second thing is going through Art and Design Association of Independent Colleges. So Drexel University is actually a very large college, right? So you probably know that if you're joining us today, but we have an art and design, media arts and design school. However, maybe you're just looking for an art and design school. And there's schools like that where are just kind of smaller independent art schools that are not attached to larger universities. So this is also something that is helpful in research because maybe you do want a larger university. You want to be able to take business classes. You want to be on a larger campus. You want sports. All of that is possible maybe at a larger institution, which is a part of National Portfolio Day. But maybe you just want to be in an art and design school. You know, I went to just an art and design school. But you know, everybody's different. So that's why coming to ACAD is really helpful. And they have a really great search function, which is by area. So if you are looking for something specific on East or West Coast, this is a great way for you to kind of find your footing and kind of realize what schools are out there. So that's my first tip is do the research. Now this is like my favorite thing because so many students meet with me and most of you have met with me and they always, you know, realize that every school is different, which makes it super fun for you. So every school is different for a reason because every school is looking for something different in admissions because it's a part of that school and it allows them to see a little bit more about you. We don't do it to hurt you. We do it because we want you to be the most successful applicant that you can be. So like I said, schools have specific portfolio requirements for a reason. So I love when students come up to me and they're like, you don't require observational drawing. And it's like, nope, we don't. It's not a huge part of our curriculum. And that's why we don't really need to see it for admission. But schools that do require observational drawing probably want to see that for a reason, because it's a part of their curriculum. So if you are meeting somebody and you're like, I don't like this portfolio, I like don't want to make this portfolio, you're probably not going to like their curriculum. So that's why I say, you know, schools have specific portfolios for a reason, because it's really giving you a glimpse of who they are. Always ask for a portfolio review. So if you are applying to music school or anything related to art and design or even dance, reaching out to counselors and asking them to help you is always super, super helpful. For those who are applying to art and design schools, going through National Portfolio Day, like I said, we have virtual National Portfolio Days. You can join us anytime on the weekend. It's a great way to get feedback before you apply. The next thing is looking at alumni and faculty. So if you're not sure where you want to attend, you're not really understanding what the difference is between the programs, I always say look at alumni and faculty. Every counselor who you reach out to should be able to help you with this. It's a great way for you to realize what that program is. Because maybe you're like, I really want to do furniture design. And then you look at alumni and you're like, nobody does furniture. Who's an alum here? Well, that's a really good indicator of how you're kind of looking at your colleges. So that's another big tip for me. Ask to see full curriculum. So this relates back to myself. When I applied to fine arts, I did not realize one of the core requirements of fine arts is performance art. I am not a performance artist. I wanted to paint, I wanted to draw, love telling stories, but I do not like doing performance art. So asking to see the full curriculum really allows you to understand what that major entails, but also the differences between colleges. So I love to include our Drexel curriculum. This is specifically for graphic design. You can find any of our curriculum, or if you want to ask me about it, please do. I love curriculum. But you can see that a lot of our curriculum is general education, and then our students really kind of move into graphic design. They don't take many visual studies requirements. So unlike many other schools where you may have to take 5 drawing classes as a graphic designer, we don't do that as much. Of course, you can still take it as electives, but if that's something that you like, then this is going to be a good curriculum for you. So that's why I say always look at curriculums. I'm sorry, I live on Broad Street. It's very noisy here. Always look at curriculums. They're super helpful, and they're a great way for you to connect with that institution themselves. I know we have questions popping up, so don't worry, I'm going to get to them at the end. I'm going to try to get through this as much as possible. I'm kind of, I get very involved when I'm talking about portfolios, so I'm trying to move as quickly as possible. So let's talk about the application process for media arts and design schools, and specifically how to apply and how to apply appropriately. This may make sense. You're probably doing this for most of your schools, but note what school requires what and deadlines. Every art and design school that I have ever known is different. Some of them do adhere to some kind of traditional models, but some are like rolling admission. Some really want their portfolio submitted. Some want it mailed. Not many anymore. When I was applying, everybody wanted it mailed, but each school requires something different. And especially for students who are applying to music and dance schools, that's a lot, right? You have to do auditions. So understanding when audition days are, what's happening with it, you know, it's just the best way to understand what you need to do for each school. Look at portfolio or audition requirements. So like I said, every school is different. Some schools require 20 pieces. Some schools require an audition. Some schools don't, you know? So this is something to help you get organized. I know that we're approaching an early action deadline, and I know most of you may be seniors or juniors, but this is an easy way to get you kind of on track and ready. Look at essay requirements. This is another fun one. A lot of students don't look at essay requirements until they're midway through, and they just think their Common App or Coalition application essay is totally fine to submit. A lot of schools actually, for specifically media arts and design, actually require an additional essay. So we're going to talk about that in a second. So a lot of schools call it the artist statement. At Westphal, we call it the Westphal Supplemental Essay, but it's essentially the same. So all schools kind of require this for art and design. Most schools do. I shouldn't say all. I don't want to be general, but most schools do require this as a supplemental essay. It's usually around 300 to 500 words. So specifically, why do we require this? A lot of students are like, but you got the common application essay. Well, the common application and coalition application essay is different. It's more testing your writing, your essay writing skills, understanding you as a person. When the artist statement or Westphal supplemental essay is understanding why you're interested in this institution. You know, why are you thinking about us? There's so many other people. Why do we want to know? Well, you know, you're coming here for a reason. Another thing is that you're taking this pathway seriously. Some people apply to art and design school, and we all know this, because maybe they don't have much else, right? But that's not really a good reason to apply to school, right? We should be really applying because we're passionate about something. And that's really what we want, is to see that passion in your application essay and understand that you're doing this for a reason. Another great thing is that we can fully understand your portfolio and then how you were making in high school. A lot of students don't realize this, that a part of the artist statement is really understanding your portfolio, which is kind of the trick of it. I always give this tip to students who meet with me. When I used to review applications, I don't anymore for Drexel, but at my prior institution, I would read the full application, including your artist supplement, and then I would look at your portfolio so that I could fully understand both together. So when you're writing your essay, really tie it into what I'm going to look at. You know, if you're making some weird stuff in your portfolio, then it should be talked about, right? I shouldn't just guess that this came out of thin air. So that's really something to add to your artist statement and your Westphal supplemental essay. So what not to do in an artist statement? So these are my quick tips for what not to do. So these are sometimes self-explanatory. Sometimes they're not. This is my worst favorite line. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be an artist. Awesome. So did everybody else, right? I did. The kid down the street did. So this is not where you should start your essay. It should start from a place of now. So it should start for when you kind of realized that this was going to be your college major. So whether that was junior year, sophomore year, whenever you kind of decided that this was it, I'm going to be going to college for that. That's really when your essay should start. It shouldn't start from when you were playing dress up, when you were just playing with chords. Everybody was, you know? So what makes you different is how you're coming to this decision. And that's really where your essay should start. Okay. I cannot wait to attend wrong institution in the fall. This is my biggest no-no. I know that you all think that I won't do this. I'll never do this. It happens all the time. We understand that other schools require this statement, so please do not do that. Please double check these statements. And then copy and paste your common application essay. That's one of the biggest no-nos. Your common application essay is a completely different question from your artist statement or Westphal College supplement. So it should not be double time, you know, it should be separate. So your common application or coalition application essay should really answer the question of that. And the Westphal supplemental essay should really, really talk about why you're coming to Westphal or why you're becoming an artist or a musician or a dancer. What to do in an artist statement. So what should we do? Connect your portfolio to your essay in any way possible. So I already mentioned this because I get so excited about it. Your portfolio should be talked about in your essay if it is important to you. So a great example is, let's say that you've been making a weird boat outside with your dad because it's pandemic and both of you decide to make a boat and it's in your portfolio. Now imagine if I saw all these drawings and then I saw this boat, right? To say that in your essay and say that that was how you kind of came to that is really important. So just keep that in mind, that tying your portfolio to your application is a really good way to create a full circle of you. If I were able to attend an info session, go to a national portfolio day, connect with a counselor, anything related to the school, mention it. So if you were able to visit, if you met with me during National Portfolio Day, if you met with a faculty member, anything that can really showcase your interest is important, and our faculty love to see it. And I know I love to see it when I used to review applications, because it really made me and assured me that they listened to what I said and that they were applying directly to our institution. So it's not something that has to happen, but if you feel like you've had a connection with somebody at a school that you've been talking to, it's definitely worthwhile putting it in the essay. Repeat and reuse, but make sure to edit. We understand you're applying to a lot of colleges. You don't have to flatter me and say you're only applying to us. And I understand you're going to use this essay for other things. That's totally fine. But make it reusable, right? So cutting out chunks, replacing chunks, and really tying it back to the institution. So just keeping that in mind, that is what I would suggest doing. I get it. We're all under a lot of time pressure. You should reuse your essay. Now we've been waiting for it, talking about the portfolio. So before I jump into the portfolio, I'm going to talk a little bit about Westphal's requirements. So I know a lot of students here may be applying to Drexel, they may not be applying to Drexel, but I always like to start with just what we require. Because I will be showing examples of work from students who have applied previously and are currently attending Drexel. So for us, our portfolio, we really want to see 8 to 12 pieces of traditional media or creative practice. We're really open with our portfolio. We want to see what you're doing in your high school classroom, what you feel comfortable doing. We do not want you to stress or learn how to sew over YouTube because you think I need to see it. We really want to see what you like to do, how you like to do it in your portfolio. We also do not require a portfolio for all of our majors. Only a certain amount of majors are required to submit a portfolio. However, we do offer a portfolio scholarship. So I say to any student who is applying, if you are applying to Westphal College of Media Arts and Design and you have been making work, you should be submitting work. It's very helpful for our students to see and our faculty to see as reviewers what you've been doing outside. Tonight, I'm going to focus on slide room. Some schools do not require students to submit portfolios to slide room. Most do. So I'm specifically going to talk about what slide room is, what it looks like, kind of demystify it a little bit, and kind of let you know a little bit more about how to actually submit in slide room. Okay, here we are. So let's talk about slide room. So slide room is this big, mystical, magical thing that students are always so scared about, but it's really intuitive and it's very easy to use. I want to say that first. However, it is not an editing software whatsoever. So your images should be made before you upload. So when you go through your common application or coalition application, it will go through the whole application. And then at the end, it will say, do you have a portfolio? And you're going to select yes, because you're going to make a portfolio after you have this conversation. And what you're going to do is then get linked to Slide Room, which is an outside website. So you're going to click to Slide Room, and then what you're going to do is upload your imagery. Now, the thing about Slide Room is, like I said, is not editing. So you have to have your images done before. So they do not take high-res TIFFs. You have to submit JPEGs. You can submit PDFs. They should be at a lower resolution. You can also submit, well, now they're allowing GIFs or GIFs, whatever you call it. I don't know, I'm old. As well as MP4s, and then YouTube and Vimeo links. So those are ways that you can submit on Slide Room. So now when I go into Slide Room and when I pull up your portfolio, this is what I see. This is the screen. So if you are on a laptop right now, this is as big as your images are. So I open your portfolio and I can see every image in your portfolio, okay? So this student was applying to architecture, if you couldn't have guessed. And on the right-hand side, you will see that they put their name, address, and major right here. So I can see who they are, where they're from, and then I can see their portfolio. So when I initially open this portfolio, I go, wow, this student's really been making in 3D design. That's really awesome. I can see what they've been doing. And then I kind of go to the end, kind of towards here, and I go, what's that? Because it looks like 2 portfolios when I open this. So I see this top half of this portfolio, and now I'm already looking at this and I'm going, huh, what's happening? And I can tell when you're filling a portfolio. So I've been around the block enough where I understand when you are getting down to crunch time and you just need to throw some images in. This is what that seems like to me. So I'm opening this, I'm really excited about this kind of top half, but then I'm kind of getting down to this bottom half and I'm kind of like, what's going on? So now when I go to your single image, your single slide, this is what I see. So I can see, this student decided to take a really smart approach to showing their sketches for their 3D mock-up, which I do suggest if you are somebody who sketches and does previous designs. So if you are somebody who just goes into making and doesn't sketch, don't do sketches. But if you do sketch and you like to figure things out, then present your sketches. And this is a great way of doing it because now I can see multiple sides of what he was thinking, what he was taking it from. So I can see he was looking at fans, how he was thinking about the construction, and I understand the full circle of what he was doing. On the right-hand side, you will see title and you will see description. The description you have to enter for Drexel, I believe you have up to 250 words. For title, you can insert a title for everyone. You don't have to. For description, you do not have to put a description for each piece. But I will say for this piece specifically, I would say that this student should have put more description in, right? Because who knows what an architectural fidget toy is? I do not. Right? So why are we making this? Why are we constructing it? So I wish that this student did include a little bit more of a description within this piece so I can fully understand why he was making this. Okay. So this is actually the piece itself, kind of cool, right? It's the same description. So once again, I wish that he went back into Slide Room and added more of a description, but I do enjoy how he photographed this piece. I can really see the piece fully. I can understand it in circle. I can understand what it's supposed to do. So it really helps me as a reviewer because I immediately get it. So if you are applying to art and design school or music school or film school, whatever you're applying to, most reviewers have maybe 5 to 10 minutes to review your portfolio. I would really say 5. So the more immediate it is that I can understand something, the better. And that's really about what you have to do is curate your work and really understand how you're presenting your images. This is a great student from Undeclared. So when I opened this is the full view of when I opened it in Slide Room. I really enjoyed what I saw because I can see that she started out really strong in her portfolio. There's these great conceptual pieces, and then she kind of included more of her observational, traditional studio work, and then she ended really strong, right? And that's really how a good portfolio should go. It should really grab you immediately and then take you through this visual journey. So I really enjoy this portfolio for that reason. This student applied undeclared to Westphal. I believe they eventually went into product design. However, there is no product in here, right? So applying undeclared is great if you are somebody who is really not sure about what you want to do. And you can still submit a portfolio of really great work, right? I think this is a really great example of a student who was in maybe a little bit more of a technical school where they were really focusing on observational drawing. And just to talk about observational drawing, because a lot of schools do require it, once again, we do not. However, a lot of students are like, should I submit observational drawing? If you want to, absolutely. But I also think observational drawing is a chance to showcase yourself. So I really enjoy this observational work. It's not maybe the best well drawn. I can see that there's some perspective issues. However, I can see that this ties into something personal to the student. It's her grandmother's rings. So even though it may not be the most perfectly rendered, I can see her observational skills, and then I can also see that it ties to something personal. This is also something I usually suggest for students who do more kind of sketchbook work. If you do sketchbook work, not everybody does, which is totally fine, but if you have a sketchbook, I really enjoy her sketchbook, their sketchbook, especially because it was mostly written. I am a note taker as well. I don't really sketch as much. I do a lot more notes about what I'm gonna make. So if you are that way, you can always submit a sketchbook really demonstrating how you think. because the sketchbook really ties into your kind of final work. So with this, I love that the student was kind of making, you know, a sketchbook, and then she took a video of it. So she videotaped it from up here and it flipped through, which is really excellent. This is another portfolio. This was actually for an animation student, and I really appreciated the student. I met them at Baltimore National Portfolio Day. So I met them in person and we had a full conversation about their portfolio. And I just think like it's a really nice animation portfolio. Animation does have a lot of special regulations for other schools. Some schools want to see more character, some schools want to see place, some schools want to see full turns. So applying to animation can sometimes be very difficult. Once again, we're very open. We just want to see what you do and what you do for fun. So you can see that the student also included their sketchbook, a video of their sketchbook, which was really beautiful. And then they started with this observational drawing. And when I met them at National Portfolio Day, I remember them coming up to me and saying, well, would you want to see these? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, I went to another school and they said that this wouldn't count as observational drawing because the arm, if you can see, is cut off on the ballerina and the elbow's cut off and then the legs cut off. And I said, no, I think it still shows your expression and how you're making and observing figure models, but I would certainly take this. I think they're excellent pieces, and I think they were quick pieces. They're not really, you know, they're meant to show your visual and tactical skill. So another school would not take these. So that's why going to National Portfolio Day is very helpful, because you can then kind of realize what school may be the best fit for you. So this is an example of another school saying, no, this wouldn't fit us, when for me, it would fit us. So once again, everybody is different, and that's why you go and get a review and you talk to these people so that they can really help you with this. I love this as a quick project. So a lot of students kind of ask me, how could they do a quick project to add something to their portfolio? I love this. This is just obviously their hand. They obviously had Netflix on in the background, had a seltzer, had a cup of coffee, had a hot tea, and we're just drawing their hand. Even though that's very simple and maybe took them like an hour to do this piece, which is awesome, it really shows the dynamic way that they can compose a page, but also how they draw. So I think if you are in a rush for time and you're not sure what to add to your portfolio, this is a great, easy piece. You know, whether you're left-handed or right-handed, it does, you know, hurt a little bit. I hated doing this when I was in school, but you can see how much fun and aliveness does come into the portfolio when you add a simple piece like this. Now moving forward, this is actually an interior design student who, you know, a lot of students always ask me, do we want to see interior design plans? Do we want to see architecture plans? And I really like this portfolio because it has a lot of both. You know, the student took an interior design summer course. They only took it for a week, but you can see there's so many interesting pieces in their portfolio. And then it ends on this interior design piece. But look at that like face, it was embroidered. That's awesome. There's this paper piece. So I really think when you're applying to a 3D major like interior design, product design, architecture, fashion design, it doesn't have to be exactly what that is, right? You know, you're applying to school for a reason. You don't have to teach yourself how to do layouts and plans if you don't know what that is, you know? So this was an example of their plan. I really enjoy it. I think it's nice. I like that they took this summer course and they were interested in it, but it does not have to be a part of their portfolio, nor do I think that they should learn this when they're kind of, you know, in high school, right? So I love that this is just one piece rather than the whole portfolio. So that's just something to keep in mind as well. And then I really love this piece. And I'm gonna explain to you why, because I always tell students who are applying to, like I said, interior product and architecture or fashion design, anything with 3 dimensions where you have to make with your hands, that it's really good to show how you can think in 3 dimensions. It's not required, but a lot of schools love to see that. And a lot of students get really stressed about it. They're like, 3 dimensions, you mean ceramics, you mean fashion, you mean this? I have to learn how to sew then. This is made out of paper. And I love that the student made this. It's a really clever kind of setup as a still life. And it shows how they build with their 3D kind of skills. And it's quick. It's maybe not perfect, but I really can understand what they were thinking about. So if you are somebody who is like, I should make in 3 dimensions, this is a really good way to do that. And I really love it for that reason. Now talking about music industry a little bit, I know some students here may be applying to music industry or interested in film. And this is a student who was interested in both. They did apply to music industry, and then they did apply, they had a film in their slide room. They also had a video up top, so this was a video. So one thing I like to talk to music industry students about, if you just submit MP4s, they come up like this. So MP4s in slide room look like a little blue note. So that's kind of just wasted space, right? Because we can listen to your music, but it's not really showcasing your skills. So this student submitted 2 MP4s. They were about 2 minutes of music each, but then she did submit her boards, which is really important. And I usually tell students to combine them together. So instead of just having an MP4 that just plays and it's a black screen, to incorporate screenshots of how you're making your music is very helpful to our music industry faculty. We are not a performance-based program. We are an audio and recording arts program. So that's why I suggest always submitting boards if you are making music or how you're making music. This is another screenshot of how they were making. I think it's great. They also added a short description, but I do wish that the sound was actually coming at it at the same time. So to make it a video where the music and the actual, screenshot is tied together would make it strong. I also appreciated this. So this is more for film, but a lot of film students, so for music and film, we generally suggest no more than 5 minutes of playing time. So this student did submit a short film, but then they also showed how they edited the film. So I thought that was really fantastic because it shows how you were making, right? So a lot of students in film are like, but I made 25 minutes of film, what do you want me to do? This is also a great way to showcase the other side of film and how you were making film. So just to give you both examples of what you can do and place in your portfolio. This is actually a film and television student who I love. They were making documentary films, they were out. But I think a lot of film and television students don't realize they can submit stills or photography within their work. So the first black screen you're gonna notice up here is actually a film and a link to a film. But then the rest were just still images from multiple films that were showcased in this first video. That's a great connection. I think these shots are so narrative. So that's what, if you are kind of a little bit confused about film or television or even applying to music industry, it's really showcasing the work, really showcasing what you're doing. You can also include a resume. I actually told the student, because I did meet with them in National Portfolio Day in San Francisco, I was like, maybe you should include a resume so that we can see all the films that you've done. Just because sometimes you list it on your common application extracurriculars, but it's not very helpful. So that's why I suggest putting a resume in your portfolio, especially if you've been making a lot. I'm talking a lot. I see a lot of questions up top. I'm gonna get to them towards the end, I promise. So this is actually my interactive moment to see if you're all still listening. This is my question to my listeners out there. So this is a photography portfolio, and I like to use photography as a way because I think everybody can understand photography just with how accessible it is right now. Why this portfolio has a little bit of an issue. Could anybody type in the chat box what they think is very obvious about this portfolio when they look at it together as a whole? It's only people, that's good. What else we got? No diversity, okay. Too much of the same thing. Great, only portraits, not much variety. Yes, yes. So everything is centered in the middle of the page, right? And I think I kind of see that in a lot. When you open a portfolio, there should be this engagement. I should want to click every image, right? Everything is very centered. It's okay that it's the same medium. So I did see that comment. If you're applying to photography and you're only submitting photography for Drexel, that's totally fine. But what I'm seeing when I open this portfolio is that I don't know if I really want to click more, right? It's not really catching me. And it's because a lot of things are centered and they're very kind of similar, right? Okay. So, and I still think this is a decent portfolio. I want to like assure students that this is still a really good portfolio. It showcases technical skill. It does showcase some conception, but really there is a lot of repeated imagery within this portfolio. So then specifically, and this is why I want to bring this up, it's about curation as well. So your portfolio, it's only 8 to 12 pieces, right? And it's really about you showcasing and putting your best foot forward. So with this piece, there's like a slight kind of thing. There's one, you know, on the left-hand side, you know, the image is, you know, exposed. The lighting is not correct. When on the right-hand side, yes, it is a similar image, but it has a little bit more composure, and also the lighting and composition is better, right? So that's something to think about, and that's something I notice, right? So when you're applying and kind of finalizing your portfolio, this is really something that you should kind of consider is like, wait, that image is not fully correct. I need to make sure that, you know, maybe I need to edit it. Maybe I just need to cut it. Maybe I need to include a different photo. And that's really, you know, what you need to decide. So when you're preparing your portfolio, you should also take a moment and save a day to really curate. A lot of students apply, early actions right around the corner. It's October, you know, November 1st. So October 31st at midnight, they're curating their portfolio. No, that should happen before you're even in slide room and submitting, okay? So this is a really successful photography portfolio. It's one of my favorites, and I just love it because it's so engaging. So we saw the prior portfolio, which really kind of spoke to you know, very singular imagery, very straightforward, not really engaging. When this portfolio immediately gets me, right? This image, woof, stellar, right? Love it. I'm immediately engaged. The student talked about it in their essay. They said that they were really interested in masks and the idea of masks and mask wearing. Of course, this was pre-pandemic, maybe not, you know, masks right now, but masks before, and really talking about what photography she would like to set up and how she was setting up imagery. And then she went to this. This is a really great way to present multiple images in one. So also in a great photography portfolio or just using photography in general, it's great to include more images than one if they connect, if they're telling a narrative, if they're really balancing each other. So I really love, like on the right-hand side, just to tell you about color theory a little bit. On the right-hand side in this lower quadrant, you see this gentle pink, right? And then that pink is over here. So it balances the whole kind of composition because I'm moving around because of this pink. And that's really what you want to see on a good page. And that's good curation. And that's really what I want you to kind of notice with this portfolio is that, yes, there are 4 images. It does bring you to the beach. It does have a narrative, but there's a really balanced composition on a page. Next, same thing here. So when I immediately look at this, I go to this, right? There's this bright pink spot in their arm, and then it balances with this pink. So when you're kind of looking at things, take a step back, right? And ask yourself, do I fully understand what's happening? And that's really what's like most helpful with curating your portfolio. So last portfolio I'm showing tonight is from a fashion design student from India. I really love this portfolio for fashion design and for any 3D major. I think a lot of students get stressed about applying to their major directly, right? That you haven't sewn because, you know, you're 18 or 17 and you've never sewn before. Don't stress so much about it. You're coming to college for a reason. And with this portfolio, I love it because it shows how much interest in 3 dimensions she has and how she's adding her own personality to her work. I really like the balance of how it's starting. I love this heavy metal heel. I love the paper sculpture of the eyeglasses, you know, and she really talks about this within her essay about how that connection to 3D, though she hasn't really sewn much, but she has a really strong interest in design and 3-dimensional thinking. So this is a great example of fashion design. I also love it for, you know, how clear it is. I think a lot of students get a little concerned about how they photograph their work. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a human body, but I do appreciate that it's on a human body. But I also enjoy that this is not fabric. So a lot of students are like, well, you expect me to sew pants or anything, but this is actually rope and kind of heavy ties and hot glue, and it just shows form. So if you're getting a little stuck on what to include in your portfolio, look at unconventional objects. Things can come together from your household. They don't have to be from, clothing or sewing. So really seeing how something is constructed and kind of deconstructing it or making it into a wearable object would be interesting. With fashion design or anything 3D, we really want to see the details. So the one thing that I would have asked the student to do is to do close-ups of some of these shots. So where my mouse is, kind of going over that. I would have loved to see the intimate details of that moment. Okay. So these are the application guidelines for Drexel. We kind of went over this a little bit. We do have information sessions, daily visits, everything like that. So if you are kind of confused about how to apply, or if you have more questions, this is the general overview of what Drexel requires. I'm running a little bit out of time, so I'm moving a little bit faster, but I just wanted you to see this, and we can answer any questions about that at the end as well. And then specifically, I wanted to bring up, I did mention at the beginning of this that we will be having our Westphal webinars. So tomorrow, like I said, there is specifically a webinar about architecture and game design. So if you are applying to those majors and you would like to learn more about them, our faculty are volunteering their time and kind of giving out that information, which is really fantastic. Also on our website, which I can also include later, is that we will be having our own portfolio review day. So if you are unable to attend a national portfolio day, or if you would like to receive a review, you can always join us on Westphal Portfolio Review Day, which is November 24th. It's a lot of fun. You get to meet with us and kind of discuss your portfolio and kind of think about how to apply. If you are kind of like, wait, November 24th is after early action. Well, look at that, that's my email. So if you do have questions, or if you want to schedule a portfolio review, or if you want to meet with a faculty member before you apply, give me an email. You can meet with myself or my colleague Tia, who's not here tonight. So we can always set something up for you so you can get a review before you do apply. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the questions. I see a lot of them. Oh, I gotta stop my share. Okay. Whew. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna answer these once again. If they get a little bit personal, because portfolios are very personal, I'm gonna say like, let's meet one-on-one, okay? So just letting you know about that. So we're gonna start with a couple of questions. So Joel has a really good question. Is there a good mix of tradition and digital art that should be displayed on a portfolio? So I think you asked that early on, Joel, so I hope you kind of got that answer. But we would love to see both. So it could be digital and it could be kind of a good mix in a portfolio as well. Val, oh, nice to see you again, Val. Hi again, one question until when I make an appointment for that. Oh, yes, email me again. We can talk about that. And then we can also talk about curriculum for interior design. We email, so it's not a problem. So if you apply to music industry, do all your portfolio submissions need to be music, or can you submit other art forms if you're interested in digital media? Yes, absolutely. So I did go over that a little bit. One of our students was actually very interested in film and put that into their portfolio. So they're more than welcome to do that as well. All right. Whew, so many questions, y'all. Love it. All right, Emma, does the portfolio have to be entirely traditional if you're going into a more digital related major? No. So like I showed you those hands or those hands movements, if you are somebody who works completely digital, you could also do that on like an iPad or a Wacom tablet, whatever you feel more comfortable. Christian, hello Catherine, my name is Christian. I'm applying to music industry ramp concentration. I know it's optional. What do you recommend I do for the music portfolio? I did go over that a little bit. I really think the portfolio, is something, because for music industry, it's not required to submit a portfolio. I do think that if you have a portfolio and you're done, then let's submit some work. If you're staying up late and you're trying to learn how to use recording and production through YouTube, let's not submit a portfolio. Let's submit what we're comfortable with. All right, Christine, you're really hanging in there. I really appreciate it. All right. This is one of my favorite questions. So many students ask me this: is nude art considered improper? No. Figure drawing is, of course, a part of kind of what we do as artists and designers to learn form and how it functions. It is something that you will most likely have to take in college. If you are working with nude artists, if you are below the age of 18 and you're doing that because you're in a supervised space, great, go ahead and submit it, but we do not require that whatsoever. Whew, there's a lot of questions. Love questions. And also I appreciate when they're not personal. I really appreciate that. Okay. Jillian, for a portfolio for the music industry program, what type of submissions would you suggest? I was planning to create a couple of instrumental pieces, written sheet music, but in reviewing what you said, I think that it would look a little bit boring. No, I think that's interesting. Like if you can write music, yes, but that's not a part of our program. So just keep that in mind. Like we are not a performance-based program. If that's something you do because you want to showcase it in your portfolio because it's something that interests you, let's do it. But if you're doing that because you think that's for performance, we're a recording arts and business-based program. So I still think it's interesting because it's something that you like to do, but I would not say like, let's feel the pressure to submit that. And Chica, nice to see you. Where do we submit our resume? So you can submit that in your portfolio. It would take up one of the pieces though. So you can submit a multi-page PDF, but it would take up one of the pieces. So just keep that in mind. For an animation portfolio, I do performing arts. Should I include it? I would say you can. I would not include more than one piece though. So if you do dance, if you do stage management, theater, anything like that, you can certainly submit one piece of that. Once again, if you are applying to a visual major, we do want to see your visual, but we know that you're interested in a lot of things. So to submit one is okay. Same with writing. If you like to do creative writing whatsoever, to submit one piece is fine within a portfolio. Carly, for a photography portfolio, would you, oh, I missed, no, I didn't miss that. Okay. For a photography portfolio, would you recommend including screenshots of final edit settings or a time lapse of an editing process? Sure, I've had students do that before. It's very helpful for us to understand how you're editing and composing images. I love a time lapse. I would just not submit more than one, just because we kind of understand it from the one piece. So just keep that in mind. Julia, also, what about 3D and 2D animation pieces? Even if they aren't our best work, I figured it would show that we took initiative and experimented with some media. Oh my gosh, Julia, I'm like, do you have stress on your shoulder? Like, let's release it. So really for 3D and 2D animation, like you can definitely show that. I'm just not putting the pressure on it. I like to see a balance of composed pieces and then kind of sketches. So if you're teaching yourself 3D animation and you're like, this is really hard, I'm not gonna finish it, to even see something in progress will show your passion for it. So you can definitely do that, but do not stress late at night for me, and like make sure you're sleeping, and let's do things that we're happy with, okay? Is it okay to add a couple of drawing pieces like gesture drawings with, yeah, absolutely, within a 3D portfolio? Yeah, love gesture drawings. My only thing with gesture drawings and croquis drawings for fashion design, just specifically, is everybody has hands and everybody has eyes. My favorite thing is when people put hands behind the back, right? No, hands are out here. So make sure you visually kind of connect and like draw eyes and draw hands. That's my biggest pet peeve. Catalina, you just mentioned that you would have like the applicant to show more detail. Would you recommend close-up shots in that same slide or separate slide in general? I don't know which one you were talking about, but I don't know. We'll touch on that again. If you have more questions, we can go back to that. Camilla, hi, I'm applying to screenwriting and playwriting, but I do love photography, drawing, making collages, and some other forms of art. Should I just submit writing or film related art, or could I explore others too? Camilla, that's a great question. I know for writing, we really want to see no more than 25 pages for screenwriting and playwriting. Matt does like to see writing, but he also does enjoy seeing visuals. Our screenwriting and playwriting does overlap a lot with film and television. So to see that you have that interest in visuality is really important. And Matt's doing a really cool webinar called The Art of Visual Writing. And I think that's in 2 weeks and it's really awesome. So please join us for that. It's gonna be how do you actually write visually? So I definitely suggest for you to join us. What general advice do you have for students who have not had much art class experience, how that translates to applications for majors that have optional portfolio requirements? That's a great question. I really do not want you to stress. That is my main thing. There is so much happening in this world. You know, we do not need to add an extra concern to you. So if you are like at night trying to teach yourself, once again, let's not do that. But I do think there's easy ways to make a portfolio through collage, through basic drawing, through our webinars, that if you feel like you need support, there is a lot of access to get that right now, and easy ways to improve your portfolio. But if you feel the pressure, then I wouldn't submit it. You know, I really think that an optional portfolio really is for students who have a strong 8 to 10 pieces and are ready to really kind of submit those pieces. That's just from my perspective. Once again, if you want to show your work to me or let me see it before you apply, let's do it. Would you recommend submitting an arts portfolio even if you're applying to a STEM major? So a portfolio is only reviewed at Drexel for Westphal majors. So if you are applying to Westphal College majors, that is only when your portfolio is reviewed. If you are taking on a minor once at Drexel, sometimes some of our minors do require a portfolio, and that's when our faculty would like ask to see some of your work. But really a portfolio for freshman applicants is only reviewed if you are applying to one of our 17 majors at Westphal. Okay, Joseph, where do I sign up for the game design portfolio webinar? We'll get it to you, promise. It's gonna be super fun. Rob talks forever, just like me. Would I be able to incorporate photography in my architecture portfolio? Yes, absolutely. Actually, tomorrow is our architecture portfolio building class. And what's really fascinating about our architecture program, because architecture is one of those things that a lot of different schools require different things, we're very open to see studio and fine arts. So we love to see drawing, we love to see painting, we love to see photography. So you can definitely include that, Irene. If there isn't much variation between traditional and digital art in your portfolio, how do you strengthen it? I think that really depends on what you're applying to and what's in your portfolio. So I can't say yes or no to that. For me, I think digital art is the future. And a lot of schools want to see more traditional mediums, but I really think, especially at Westphal, digital art is really going to be how we make a lot of things. So for me, I like to see both, and it's totally fine. Hi, Catherine. Catherine, love it. Yeah, that's what my Zoom name says. I'm applying to game design and production, and I have a question regarding some of the artwork of characters in video game. Would that not be allowed because of copyright? For example, if I have super realistic drawings of Ciri from The Witcher that I like a lot, should I still have it in my portfolio? So when you are dealing with copyright art, just in general, if you're drawing characters or anything like that, it's not that we don't want to see it, but really your portfolio should be a chance for you to showcase your conceptual and studio skill. So I would rather see you take that on yourself. So I would rather see you say, I was inspired by Ciri, but then I made my own character, which reinvented what Ciri was. And that's really what I suggest more of, just because anybody can draw something that's already been drawn, right? So like I could draw Spider-Man, it's pretty easy, right? I just need to look and I can do it. But when you actually take something, and Pablo Picasso said it, the best art is stolen. So if you're taking from somebody else and you're reinventing it, that's something that we would rather see in a portfolio for game design or even animation, if that makes sense. Emma, I didn't actually see that there were any self-portraits from what I saw. Is it stereotypical to submit a self-portrait? No. I just don't think we require observational drawing, but you're more than welcome to submit a portrait. I actually had a student this past weekend at a national portfolio day with 15 self-portraits because they've been in a pandemic and isolated. So that's totally fine. One thing I don't like is celebrity portraits. I do collect them though. 2 years ago was the year of Tom Cruise. Last year was Lady Gaga. So I mean, like if you're gonna do celebrity portraits, I'm just telling you right now, I'm gonna collect it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. All right, for a game design major portfolio, can I submit code that I made in BlueJ? I'm not sure what BlueJ is, but you can submit code. So if you want to submit code, I do not review your portfolio, our faculty do, they understand code. So you can definitely submit code. For interactive digital media, I'm planning to submit a film, photography, and game design pieces. Do you recommend a certain ratio between these types of submissions for this major? No, I would say like we're very open. So our faculty really love to see like a broad base in IDM. They really want to see what you make. I would say I would just prioritize maybe putting more of your digital or computer skills first. Whew, I'm talking a lot, y'all. All right, Emma. Also, should we take professional natural lighting images of traditional work, or is it slightly yellow pictures okay? I would say try to be as clear as possible. If you have a scanner, that's really my best suggestion. Libraries, if they're open, they have scanners. It's just easier that way. But if you do need to take a picture, try to do your best. We're actually having a How Do You Light Your Work webinar with our game design production program director, Rob Lloyd, and he walks you through it so intimately. He actually has a background in fine arts. So if you are kind of confused about how to do that at home with a cell phone, we're actually having a webinar about it. Val, I love to do digital art, but I don't know if it's better doing by hand. It's up to you, whatever you prefer. Like I said, I don't mind digital art. Westphal loves digital art. Some schools I've known have turned away students for digital art. I'm not trying to put bias on anybody else, but I mean, like, it's up to you and what you're doing with that school. All right, how should students prepare if they aren't sure if they want to major or minor in the arts? For example, can someone minor in digital arts? Absolutely. So it depends on the college. Once again, at Westphal College of Media Arts and Design, we have a minor in animation as well as in game design. So if you want to minor in digital arts, you definitely can. Some schools don't have that access. So that's something to really keep in mind as you move forward if that's something you're passionate about. We also have so many clubs. So we have a 2D animation club, we have a fine art club, they have like an anime and manga club, SEAGRAPH club. So like, even if you don't want to minor in it and take it in your curriculum, you can always still participate in multiple ways. Oh my gosh, guys, we're a little bit over. So I'm gonna like stop the questions in a second, but I'm gonna finish these up and then we're gonna hit it. Okay. All right, would it be okay to contact program leads directly for specific questions if it's possible? If you want to contact program directors, you can. I generally, just because they're so busy right now, I would say try to reach out to me first. If I can't answer it, then I will definitely direct you towards your faculty. But our faculty are doing these webinars and are always available during open houses, and they can always help you through this as well. So Catalina, to rephrase, should we include extra photos of close-ups of shots of pieces, although those close-up shots might take extra slides? See, Catalina, this is the fun of portfolios. It is about curation. So if you think that your piece is not expressed well enough in one slide, then it should have another slide. However, if you think that it is expressed in that one slide, then that's what you need. Elise, is it okay if most of fashion design portfolio is sewing and clothing, not other visual 3D mediums? Absolutely. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. If you are, once again, sewing jackets because you think I need to see something, then that's what's gone wrong. We really want to make sure that you're feeling comfortable and that you like to sew. I don't like sewing, right? So I would not be good at doing a fashion design garment piece. But if you are at home and you like sewing, it's going to be a good way for you to kind of submit work for that. Hannah, how cohesive should an optional portfolio be specifically for fashion merchandising? It's also an optional portfolio for design and merchandising. We actually love to see business plans as well. So if you've been doing logo design, if you've been doing anything related to business management, all that fun stuff, that is a great way to access your portfolio and add to your portfolio. Would you prefer to see more of a variety or concentration for game design portfolio? I have watercolor, I have acrylics, I have digital, I have ceramics, I have oils, I have pencils, I have markers. Really whatever you want to showcase. I think like you don't have to have one medium. We really do want to see what you like to do. Hi, I'm Noah and I'm applying to the music industry major. Hi Noah, my question is, are we allowed to submit links to things such as a website or a YouTube channel if we think it's valuable to our portfolio? So one thing I did not say in this slide room, that's a really good question, Noah, is that you cannot submit a link. So, there's no way to like showcase a website. You can showcase a video of a website. So if you built a website or if you have your own website, you can actually do a video of you going through the screen and showcasing that website. But in SlideRoom, there's no way to link out to something. So just keep that in mind, that that is not a functionality. You can link to YouTube, and you can link to Vimeo. It does have to be a public page. So you cannot have a private channel unless you kind of access that in the link. But those are really good questions. So if you are making a website, like I said, take a video of you going through your screen rather than doing that. Y'all, oh my goodness. Last question, absolute last question. What kind of pictures do we need to upload in our photography portfolio? Can you please share more about it? Whatever pictures that you like to take. We don't have certain requirements. So in any portfolio, you can submit whatever you want, whatever you're passionate about. And that's really what we want to see at Westphal. Some schools will require you to do certain things. That's totally fine, but you don't have to do that for us. So in a photography or in any portfolio, whatever you want to do is something that you can include in your work. Y'all, I am gonna lose my voice tonight. I am busy. Thank you for attending this. I really appreciate it. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I love portfolios, and I appreciate Christine kind of joining me and being my side gig. If you do need anything, please email me at katiegross@drexel.edu and reach out to us. And thank you and have a lovely night.
Thanks so much for being here, Katie. Bye, everyone.